very welcome. Delighted you've joined me. Now, today I'm doing a show, unlike a lot of shows I'm doing a show because this particular subject angered me over the years. And I'll tell you why it angered me. Whilst broadcasting 10 years or whatever ago, an Irish girl went missing. In fact, 12 years ago is when she went missing. Amy Fitzpatrick. And I found myself, I don't know why, I found myself as if I'm the only one doing the broadcasting down here. This is an Irish girl, 15 years old, went out babysitting and went missing. And I was wondering, because there was an awful lot of publicity for an English girl called Madeleine McCann. Was it Madeleine McCann? I think it is, Madeleine McCann. Yeah, she went missing, but there was a huge amount of publicity around that. I was angered being an Irishman. Why wasn't this missing girl? Maybe because Madeleine McCann was a little baby, and maybe because Amy Fitzpatrick was a teenager, and maybe they thought maybe she'd run away. That was the first thing they were saying, that she'd run away and she'd be fine. Maybe that's why. But when it became apparent that she hadn't just run away and she was actually missing is when the publicity was mostly needed. And I've done a lot of publicity on my radio show with speaking to her mother, to her stepfather, and to other people involved. One of the guests I have that's on my show today is the sister of her natural father. Remember that Amy had a stepfather and of course a natural mother. I'll just welcome from Dublin, from the lovely Dublin, Christina Kenny. Christine, you're very welcome.
Thank you, Maurice.
It's nice. How's Dublin today? Is it lovely?
No.
Oh, but you tell me. What do you mean it's not lovely? Dublin's lovely all the time. Rain.
It is lovely, but not when you've got winds like that's out there today and rain.
Rain is soft in Ireland. It doesn't even wet you. Now, so I'm delighted to welcome you on the show. We'll be going to you shortly, so stand by. My other guest, I'm delighted and privileged to have on the show today because I'm not sure she's ever done a broadcast interview before. I'm not sure. And if she hasn't, this is an exclusive with her, but I'm delighted she's come on. Give us a little bit of time because she's very busy. She is the friend that Amy Fitzpatrick was with the last time she was seen, etc., etc. We're going to find more about the story. Her name is Ashley Rose. Ashley, you're very welcome.
Hello.
Nice to have you on the show. Ashley's a very busy young hairdresser, a beauty.
Hairdresser. I'm a hairdresser.
What can you do with my hair? Can you do anything with it, do you think?
We can do lots with your hair.
I dye it grey, as you can see, because I want to sort of look a little more distinguished. That's why. Anyway, you're very welcome, and you're running a salon. So we're going to go to you first, Ashley. If that's so, Kristen, you can relax there for a minute. We're going to go to you first. Ashley, tell me about your relationship with Amy Fitzpatrick.
Well, we became friends. God, I must have been about 11, something like that. We became friends through a friend in common that we had. And I mean, as soon as we met, we just got on so well. And yeah, we'd meet up nearly every day. We had a great friendship. Walk around, just, do our thing, listen to music, as you do as like young teenagers, I suppose.
How would you describe Amy as a person? When you were knocking around together, was she shy? Was she outgoing? What sort of person was Amy?
A bit of both. Amy was a bit of both. She was a shy girl, I suppose, when she didn't really know a new friend maybe that you was gonna, that was in the group or something like that. She could be a bit shyer, but overall she was outgoing. She liked socializing, but it definitely had to be with people that she felt comfortable with. That she felt that she had, I suppose, things in common.
Now, I think Ashley Rose on the line, the last person that we know of that saw Amy. I'm not going to say Amy alive because it's still to this day, the story has not been closed. But I want to ask you, I think you, a little bit like me, and I don't mean in looks, of course, but I mean a little bit like me in the fact that you're angered also that this case seems to have been ignored. This is a missing girl. You're looking at the huge publicity from the Madeleine McCann case, and yet 12 years on, and I said 10 years on, 5 years on, it seems to be totally ignored. That angers you, no?
Absolutely. I mean, I definitely feel, that more could have and should have been done. I'm a bit confused really as to why it hasn't, or why they never did anything.
Well, we'll certainly be speaking to her auntie, who you know pretty well, Christoph, through this case, and we'll be finding out what's being done in Ireland. But back to you, Ashley. Ashley, put me right on this, okay? From what I understood, the night that Amy was meant to have gone missing, she'd gone babysitting with you. Pick it up from there first and give me the exact thing.
Yeah, no, so the babysitting that I was doing for my brother was the night before, which was on the New Year's Eve, the 31st. And no, that night was fine. So I was babysitting. Amy didn't want to go out, so she asked me, can I come to your house and stay with you? We'll both look after your brother. So I said, yeah, fine. At the night keeps me company. And it was the day after, so the 1st of January, that Amy went missing.
Okay, now there's a confusion here to the story, and which I read in the Irish papers only a few weeks ago. It all boils down to her family, her mom and stepfather, saying that she didn't come home, and yet you made an announcement in the press, the Irish press, that she must have come home. Can you clarify that bit of confusion?
Yeah, so it was when, like you said, when Amy's mom, Audrey, went on to the news. I can't exactly remember what it was on now. But she showed her phone and said, this was the phone that she always carried around. And that was when I realised actually, well, she'd had that phone with me the night before because she got her numbers. At first she saved all her numbers.
Sorry, can I just stop you there? Sorry, I want to stop you there because why I want to stop there is because the mother claims that she didn't have the phone with her and that she actually left the phone at home. Am I right there?
Apparently, yeah. I mean, I've not spoken to the mum about it ever. I've never spoken to her about it. But that's what she claims. But obviously she wasn't with her daughter the night before I was. So I think I would have known if she had her phone with her, which she did, because that's how she called her mum on the New Year's Eve to wish her mum Happy New Year. So yeah, right. I'm surprised that nothing really got done about that.
Yeah, now the phone seems to be a very important link to this whole story, because the mum said she never came home and she'd gone missing, and the phone was found at home. So you're right in saying that she must have been at home. She must have gone home and left that phone there. Is that more or less right?
I mean, yeah, in one way or another, absolutely. I mean, she must have either got near home or been home because if she was only with me until she left. So whether she went home and then decided to go back out and then something happened and she'd left her phone then, or she did make it home and something happened, I don't know. That I don't know. But I know that when she was with me, she had it.
It would be unusual, and I think I'm right in saying that a teenager would, or a young person would leave home without a phone. They'd probably rather leave home without an arm than leave home without a phone. And she phoned her mum, as you say, to wish her Happy New Year. Now, you say she phoned her on your phone because her phone's an Irish phone, but she got the number from her phone to phone her mum.
Well, she actually had two phones. So she had just a Spanish small phone, and that was what you could contact her on. But David actually smashed that up. Roughly about a week, 2 weeks before.
Sorry. Dave is the stepfather. Just to make that clear.
Yes. He'd smashed that phone because I remember her telling me, because she was really upset about it. He'd smashed it against the wall at home in an argument. So she no longer had this flip phone that was used to, contact her on, or for her to contact people. So she'd moved, or she did have most of her contacts on her Irish phone, which is usually where she played all her music on. So yeah, she didn't necessarily make the phone call off the Irish phone. She made it off my house phone. But she did have her contacts and, like I say, her music all on this Irish phone.
Okay, just another point you've hit on there is her stepfather and her relationship with Amy. Now, from
Yeah.
what I read and what I've heard, the relationship was not a good relationship. And you talked about a sort of violence there of picking a phone and smashing it against the wall. Did Amy ever speak to you about Dave Mahone? By the way, we're going to come to Dave Mahone, the stepfather, because he's in prison in Ireland now for charged with manslaughter. I think I will check with this with Christine in a moment, with manslaughter, killing Amy's brother. But just going back to that, has Amy ever chatted to you about her relationship with her stepfather?
Yeah, I mean, she made comments here and there that he was, an idiot, or, they didn't get on, or they had an argument, or, he doesn't like people in the house, and you could definitely tell that they didn't have a good relationship. Then he was, drunk all the time anyway, so
I want to get to that. Yeah, you did say that you did say that the mum, Audrey, and the stepfather spent a lot of time, more time than looking after the children, you said, or that I read that you said, in the pub, drinking, rather than, there was a story I heard that Audrey wanted to go, if she walked in when she was quite young, to Dave McMahon, who was sitting in a pub eating or something, and she said, I'm starving, or I want something to eat, and he told her to get the hell out of there. He's given her nothing. These stories, do you know anything about these stories?
I mean, I was with her a lot of the times when we'd have to walk around from bar to bar, looking for a mum to see if she could give her a few euros. So I mean, yeah, we definitely have to go, from one bar to the next, looking to see where they'd be. And when we were lucky enough to find them, I mean, she was lucky if she got €4, really. I mean, it was, €3 here, €3 there. Maybe if she was lucky, she'd get €5. But
we're going to hear from Christine, I know, about the social services who sort of tipped off the people down here that the kids were neglected, I suppose, in a way. Did you feel that they were being neglected? I mean, honestly, Ashley, you've spent time with her, you were her best friend. Did you say to yourself, it's horrible, the life that Amy is leading?
Yeah, I mean, I've said this quite a few times. Obviously, I was 13, I was 12, I was 13. I suppose things that you don't necessarily look at when you're that age. I saw things were odd, but I never really put that much thought into it. And as I got older and I look back and I think, no, that wasn't, it wasn't right that she never had a front door key. She'd have to climb in through the kitchen window or through the back. It wasn't normal that she'd have to eat crisps and ketchup sandwiches at home because there was never food at home. All of that. But when you are 12, they're just not things that you look at.
Sure, I mean, ketchup sandwiches.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Not a great diet. She went missing, of course, 2008. Your best friend must have been horribly upset about it. Tell me your first thoughts. What were your first thoughts when you got the call to say your best friend is missing, and she didn't go home?
She was actually supposed to come and knock on my door that day, so it would have been the 2nd of January. She said, "We'll meet up around 3 o'clock." Obviously, I was on school holidays, and it was me that started to realise. Actually, I went out a bit earlier, and I tried to call her mum because Amy's phone had been broken previously, a week to 2 weeks before, and that's when she said, she didn't come home. I thought it was a bit strange, but I didn't put much thought into it because I do know that she had older friends, or friends that maybe didn't have such a strict curfew as I did. So I thought, well, maybe she didn't go, maybe she went straight back out or something like that. When it got then to about 4, 5, 6 o'clock, I knew then that that's not normal for Amy not to come and knock for me, because she either would have been around, I would have seen her if she hadn't, but she just wasn't like that. I know she would have come to knock for me. And even when you did call over, it was very sudden. She'd be ready in 10 minutes. It was not like, oh no, I can't be there. She'd be like, yeah, I'll be there in 10. So I just thought it, then I went home and I said to my mum, something's not right. And then we started to call the police. Obviously,
she also liked being with you and in your nice family environment in your house and visiting you. And obviously, when she was there, I suppose your mom or you gave her a bit of food to eat. And did her brother? What was her brother? How was he with her? I know he was her older brother, but how
Yeah,
was his?
they had. I mean, I definitely think he really, felt protective over her, but they had a good and a bad relationship. I suppose like any brother and sister. He was always doing his own thing, though. I mean, I always saw him as quite a shy person, but he was and he wasn't. Again, I just think they were both a bit troubled, really. I could never really point the finger, as to what it was. Now I look back, I probably could a bit more.
You said Amy had friends, and that you were just 13, so you had a curfew, if you want. You had to be in mum and say be in at a certain time. Did Amy then go out later, do you know, and then talk to you the next day and said, "Oh, I've been clubbing tonight and I've been with such and such"? Did she ever discuss that with you?
Definitely, yeah. There was definitely times that I'd go home. Usually I'd have to be home, sort of, especially if I was at school. By 7 o'clock I had to be in anyway. So yeah, definitely. She would either go out after. I mean, it wouldn't have to be much older people. I knew people that didn't have such a strict curfew. So she definitely would go out, and she would tell me about her crazy, maybe, oh, we stayed out till quite late, or we met these boys on the strip. But it was still quite normal. Like, we had loads of holiday makers and stuff over as well, that were maybe a little bit older, or nothing crazy, like in their 30s or anything. But definitely, yeah. She'd go out and meet with our friends.
Now, I know it's going to be very difficult because I spoke to you before, actually, and I know your thoughts. Now, there's a lot of stuff we cannot talk about. That's certainly out of the question. Your thoughts. Let me ask you this, a hard question, of course. Do you think Amy is dead or Amy is missing?
It's a tricky one. There's a part of me that hopes that she's still out there somewhere, alive. But I also hope that if she's suffering, I'd rather her not be alive. So it's a bit of a tricky one. There's my positive side wants her to be out and healthy and safe. But my other part tells me that if she's not, I'd rather her be dead.
Now, you don't have to answer this question, but I think I know your answer to it, but you don't have to answer it. Let's assume, after all these years, and be realistic, that Amy is unfortunately not with us anymore. How involved do you think her family are in her being missing? Difficult question, and be careful what you say.
Pretty involved.
Okay.
Pretty involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Many signs of that.
I mean, I know your thoughts, but we can't discuss them here on the radio. When you heard that Dean, that's her brother, they went back to Ireland, Audrey and Mahone went back to Ireland after so many years.
And got married.
Yeah, and you had heard, your mum might have told you, I'm sure you don't read the Irish Times, but you heard that Dean had been manslaughter. I was going to say murder, but it's not a murder case, I don't think. We'll talk about that with Christina Mum. But when you heard that Dean was dead and Mahone killed him, what were your thoughts then?
If I'm honest, I wasn't that surprised because I think he's more than capable of something like that. I don't think it was, his first either. So I wasn't surprised. I was definitely in shock, but when I realised actually it wasn't, I thought, well, there's something there. There's definitely something there. Yeah.
Do you think that Dean, you were 13, so I don't know what age Dean was, 17 or whatever, so there's not even any way that you chatted too much with him, but do you think Dean knew, not knowed, what sort of word's knowed? Where that, hello, knowed? Knowed, I've got a node in my head. Do you think Dean knew more than, at the time, more than he should have known, and maybe that cost him his life?
Yeah. There's no doubt in my mind that he knew, and maybe he's starting to realise that actually, hang on, this isn't right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, look, I know that you've got to go shortly because you've got an appointment, and I don't. I definitely need to come and see you.
Absolutely.
What would you do?
You're
Well,
trim.
I'm sort of left over from the rock, the 60s. I'm a leftover from the 60s, you know. And I've always had, my hair isn't that long now, but I've always had longish hair. And I remember making it short. I thought, oh my God, I got up that morning, looked in the mirror, I got a terrible fright. I didn't know who the hell he was. But I've sort of had long hair for a long time. And I quite like that. And the hairdresser I go to here would give his left arm to cut it, but I won't allow him. I just tell him to trim it. So, and then I've often asked, could they dye it? And they often, and no matter where, I was on a cruise ship. I went to the salon on a cruise ship. I said, could you dye my hair? And she said, absolutely not. I said, why? She goes, I refuse to. And my hair refused
too
to.
nice of a colour. Don't change the colour.
Sorry?
I said it's too nice of a colour. Don't change the colour.
Oh, well, thank you very much. That's very sweet of you. Well, you're a very nice person, Ashley, and thank you for being so brave and giving some time to us. If you want to hang on for a moment, if you need to go, because you might have to join in with Christine, if you need to go, just mute your phone so you can switch off and switch off then. Okay, so stand by. We're going to go over to Christine. Christine, thank you very much for hanging around. You've heard what Ashley has said. Now, let me just tell, if you've just tuned in, Christine is the sister of Amy's father, or his natural father, not the stepfather, the natural father. And Christine has worked tirelessly to make sure that this stayed alive the best she could, but obviously not much has happened. So please, Christine, tell us a little bit about what you thought about what Ashley was talking about just now.
I think all that she was saying seems to be quite correct. But I do know with Ashley that she has never changed her story. She has always said to myself and anybody that I brought to Spain with me that this is actually what happened. The mobile phone, she definitely had it with her. Now, when we went over and we showed her the interview with the Late Late Show, and
let me just say, the Late Late Show is Ireland's, I suppose, type of Graham Norton, Michael Parkinson show. That's how it's been running forever, the Late Late Show. Yeah. So Audrey was on the Late Late Show chatting with Dave Mahone. And that's what sort of made Ashley's mind click when she heard this about the phone. And carry on, sorry.
But I went over to Spain and went up to see Ashley and her mum. And we showed her the video of the programme. And when Ashley looked at it, she said, Amy had that phone with her. The Irish mobile phone. So we kind of got things together, how she could go and speak with the police and all that type of stuff. But the police never didn't go to interview her regards that phone. Now, I do know when she was actually questioned in the Guardia Civil station, they they asked her, did Amy have a mobile phone with her? Now, Ashley said she didn't have a mobile phone with her. But I can understand where Ashley is coming from, because it wasn't a phone that she could ring up anybody on. That's the difference. So, because that day I even said to her, Mum, are you sure? And she said we had a mobile phone with her, the pink one, but she only used it for music and phone numbers. That's basically.
I mean, I suppose, from what I understand about her relationship also with her mum, I suppose she wouldn't have, geez, I can't remember my kids' mobile numbers. I suppose she wouldn't have remembered her number. Therefore, she used her phone to get the number out of it so she could use Ashley's phone. From what I understand, that's what actually happened.
Yeah, that's what happened.
The phone is great evidence in this, and this is where the story takes another twist. Because the phone went missing then.
It did. It went missing in mother's house in Spain. Apparently there was a break-in, and the phone was taken out of the house. Then the lawyer that she had, his place was broken into as well, and all Amy's personal stuff was taken.
Okay, stop there. I want to clarify, that's a very important point. Amy's phone, there was a break-in, so it's been said. The phone was taken, which is vital evidence. The phone was taken, and nothing really else. And though the house had lots of bits and pieces around it, it just went for that particular phone, number one. Then the lawyer's house was broken into. No valuables were taken from that house, but everything related to Amy was stolen as well. Well, this story takes twists, unbelievable twists. Why haven't the police? It seems odd to me, a layman. Why haven't the police picked up on these things and followed them through, or have they?
I don't think so. Like, I don't want to be bad mouthing the Guardia Civil, you know, but because we need the help to find where Amy is. That's, at this stage, that's all we need to know. But I don't know, Morris, regards where with Amy, the way things were going in the house. But from what I believe, it wasn't great. But also, like, regards the lawyer, he came over to Ireland apparently to see us and to, you know, time that he was working with me. And I mean, I don't know why he came over here.
Who's that?
That's the lawyer that Audrey and Dave Mahan has.
Oh, and they want to see you now. Now, just can we go back a little bit there? You told me yesterday on the phone when I was speaking to you that social services got involved with the kids. This was before Amy went missing. Can you tell us a little bit about that story?
This lady that lived over in Spain, and she took Amy into her keeping because she was left on her own, and she'd nowhere else to go. While Audrey was in Ireland, and both of the children were over in Spain, and apparently they had nowhere to stay. But this lady sent a letter. She actually was in touch with Department of Foreign Affairs in Spain over Amy. There was social workers apparently that was involved at some stage, but the actual the lady kind of was afraid of her life for what was going to happen to her if she persisted in doing these things. But they ended up that she got in touch with the authorities and she wanted them to know what was going on with Amy. And she also did say in her letter that she feared for Amy's life. She said, if Amy gets home or meets the mother and the mother's boyfriend, she may never be seen again. And that was 2 years before this, actually, before Amy went.
That's in a letter that you have, yeah.
I have that letter.
Yeah. Okay, now,
actually,
now, unfortunately, time on this type of setup, the Zoom setup, is finishing shortly. It gives you a limited space. I want to ask you, in summing up, we speak quite a bit over the years, the two of us here. In summing, I know your thoughts. I know what you can say about Audrey, about Mahone, but you can't say them here in public, unfortunately, at the moment. We know he's in prison. We know that he killed Dean. We know he was charged with manslaughter, I think, in the end, not murder.
Well, the charge was murder, and then the jury put it as manslaughter. They hadn't, not putting these people down over the verdict, but it was plain to see that it was premeditated. You know, he called Dean 16 times that day. You know,
okay.
it wasn't.
Ashley had said that she believes Dean knew more about missing Amy than it was ever reported. Do you believe that as well?
I know so, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and I think.
Well, look, Christine, I hope somewhere along the line when this is broadcast, when it's put out there, this interview with both you and Ashley, I hope somehow it triggers more interest, because a lot of people listening to this were not living here at the time. They're all new residents here. We're going to have to say goodbye to you before we're cut off on this particular time thing. But thank you for joining us, Christina. And Ashley, I know she's flown off to get the hair to do her next line. But thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Ashley for joining us as well. And I hope that you will have more interest in this case. And we hope that Yeah, because, you know, as I said before, the Madeleine McCann case is still very vibrant. And there's all this new thing where this case, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm sure you're concerned too, is dormant. And no one seems to be doing much at the moment. So let's hope. Let's just hope we can keep it some interest anyway. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Morris, and I appreciate all that you've done.
It's no problem whatsoever. I believe in what you're doing and what Ashley's saying, etc., etc. Okay, that's the end of the interview. I hope you'll join us again, and we'll have some more interesting stuff coming up. Thank you.